Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Street University, where our goal is simply transformation. We're transforming Africa one mind at a time. We're making poverty and unemployment a choice and not a sentence. What a joy to be here. What a joy to be able to share knowledge with one another. What a joy to be able to fellowship with one another. I welcome you all to this platform today. I welcome you to a time of empowerment, a time of exchange, a time of when we're going to pick up things that we will use in our life that will take us to the next level of our lives. Isn't that where we all want to be? Isn't that where we all want to be? Well, we thank God. That's exactly what we are going to do today. So I want to welcome you. I want you to invite people that you feel will benefit from this, and just send them. Maybe you should send them an SMS or WhatsApp and tell them, "Hey guys, this is happening. You got to be here." Because there's something about just seizing the opportunity when it is available. Because one thing I have found out, and like we will discuss today, the opportunity of a lifetime must be seized in the lifetime of the opportunity. The opportunity of a lifetime must be seized in the lifetime of the opportunity. There's an assumption people have that things will always be the way they are. And that's why they miss out on a lot of good things. You know, so I think it's very, very, very important that we take advantage of things when they are there. Somebody will say, Wale, why are you speaking in parables? Well, you will see by the end of this session exactly why I'm speaking in parables. All right, so who is here? Edna, you are welcome. You are very welcome. Dorcas, hello. Liz, you have to forgive me. I know you've been trying to reach me. Liz, put yourself in my position. I have 12-hour days, 14-hour, back to back to back to back to back to back to back. So that's why it's been very, very difficult for people to catch up with me during this period. But I got your messages. I will, if you can, Liz, honestly, the best time, if you can, give me a shout at 6, maybe 6:30 tomorrow, and then we'll be able to talk. All right. I am really sorry I've not returned your calls. That is Vicky. Hello, Sarah. Sarah, you always make me happy, because every time I see you, I wonder, where are you? You are in another part. Last time you were in Illinois. Are you still there? I wonder where you are right now. Joss, hello. How are you? Isn't it a joy to fellowship with and empower each other? Brilliant. All right. Hello, Colleen. Great to have you here. Always great to have you here. So you are very, very welcome. Oh, I knew it. Sarah is now in Iowa. Oh, wow. Isabella, how are you? Great to have you on board. Great to have you. So are you guys ready? We're going to go on into part 2 of what I started, talking about change, the change compliant mind. And I would probably still do part 3 because as we round up the month of May, going into the month of June, there are going to be a number of changes that we're bringing to our operation, how we operate, our platforms, and all that good stuff that you need to be ready for. All right. And so this is exciting. This is exciting. I am grateful to all of you for being here. Anderson, how you doing, man? You are very welcome here today. Mm, very, very good. All right. I am always excited to have you guys here. Always excited. And always excited to have new people. Is there anybody here right now, please? Is there anybody? This is your first time joining us on this platform. Anybody? Please let me know. You know, we want to thank you for being here and we wonder where you've been. Huh? But it's so good to have everybody here today. So, are we ready? All right. We have been talking about change, being change compliant. And one of the things we said, we talked about the fact that when conditions change and people do not change, it leads to a mismatch between the people and conditions. All right. And that's when people become victims because the conditions have changed, but they did not change. All right. And I established that when we talk about change like this, it's not always that, oh, some disruption, something negative has happened. We don't know how to handle it. No, 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 no. And we looked at the winners of the lottery and we saw that even though their conditions changed, because their mindset did not change, they were not able to sustain the wealth or the riches that came with winning the lottery. All right. Now, um, some of the most dramatic changes in recent times, some of the most dramatic changes in recent years have been in the area of technology. And I think that's a given. Everybody knows that. Now, think of the number of tasks that used to be done by people that are now done by, computing power, artificial intelligence, and all that. With content management software, customer relations software, accounting software, artificial intelligence, more and more tasks are going to be taken away from people. More and more, this is the reality. Let me tell you, this is the reality. I was in a meeting earlier on where guys were talking about, you know, some of these things, entrepreneurs who say, you know what, my machines can't take me to court. My machines cannot protest. My machines can't, my machines don't give me emotional stress. My machines don't need benefits. I just need to look after them. So I would rather have machines doing this than all these people. This is a reality we have to come to terms with. Now, the question I want to ask you as an individual, are you ready for that? Are you ready for that? Let me break it down for you. Now, what is happening is tasks are being taken away from human beings and being put into the hands of computers or human beings who understand how to run the computers, and not necessarily the human beings who have been trained in the tasks. This is very interesting. So let's look at the job of when I was younger, the job of a graphic designer was, you had to be an artist. You knew how to draw. You knew how to use an airbrush. You knew how to do all those things. But guess what? Today's graphic designer does not need to know how to draw. It's the one who understands how to work the graphic software or templates. Now that is incredible. So are you ready? Because you see, Wale will cry and cry and cry. I remember 2 years, 3 years ago, I was shouting to all the companies I was working with, oh, disruption is coming, disruption is coming. True, we did not know which that angle the disruption was going to come from. But we began to preach, are you disruption compliant? Are you ready for the disruption? You know, then COVID hit. Boom. I saw CEOs who are talking about disruption. I saw them being dealt with. And it's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to live it. All right. So while changes may differ and may be caused by different things, the preparation for change is the same. And people who are change compliant will ride the waves of change and become post change leaders. Now, every single change is going to require a change in how you think. That's for every change. And you see, people wonder, Wale, why do you focus so much on the mind? When you are at Street University, you're talking about the mind. You get to spiritual intelligence, Sunday Commons, you're talking about the mind and all that. It's because that's where the problem is. It's the brain box, it's the control center. All right? So every change requires a change in how you think. I think I said last week that life is a series of changes, and the inability to handle change is the inability to handle life. Inability to handle change is the inability to handle life. And so it must start in the mind. If you are not flexible in your mind, if you're rigid in your thinking, you will never be flexible in life. You will never be flexible in life. And guess what? You will always be a victim. You will always be a victim. Look, changes happen, man. But you find out that the same thing happens to two people, and Jesus said it. Two people built a house. The storms came and hit both houses. One fell, one stayed up. The one that stayed up, why did it stay up? It had a foundation that could handle the change, the storms. You know, how many of you remember when there was an earthquake in Haiti? You know, the earthquake in Haiti, and that was, so many people died. Like 300,000 people or so died as a result of that earthquake. Now, isn't it? Listen, let me give you some statistics from that earthquake. Let me give you some stats from that earthquake. Listen. 1 second. Yeah. Now, it was January 2010. January 2010, and the earthquake hit Haiti in a massive way. All right. Now, there was a lady who, before the earthquake, had a good job, had a good family, her own house, lived a good life. Now, after the earthquake, she lost everything and was homeless. Now, it was reported there was no one in the capital, Port-au-Prince, that did not lose someone. The earthquake was magnitude 7.0, okay, on the Richter scale, and it lasted for 60 seconds. Now, 60 seconds is a lifetime in earthquake world, because I've been in an earthquake. So, listen, 230,000 people died in the earthquake in Haiti. I was in an earthquake, and the earthquake I was in 2002, it was 6.9. So the first earthquake in Haiti was 7.0. I was in a 6.9 earthquake, all right? And when it was over, I want you to listen very carefully. The day after the earthquake, this was in Seattle, the day after the earthquake, The airport was operating at 50% of its capacity, but it operated. All right. Some homes had to do without electric power supply for a few hours, but things were soon restored. So compare with Haiti, where over 300,000 people actually died. And here in Seattle, 6.9. And it is reported that only one person died in that earthquake, and he died of a heart attack. Now, what is the difference in those two earthquakes? In Haiti or in Seattle, the buildings were built with earthquakes in mind. They were built with the earthquake in mind, so the buildings would sway from side to side. In Haiti, the buildings were not built with earthquakes in sight. So they were not built for the change, as it were. You see, when change comes, the change is going to reveal what you are made of. I hope you are getting this. The change is going to reveal what you are made of. And that's why people like Wale are here shouting and shouting, guys, you need to be fortified for change. You need to be fortified for change. So it starts with in the mind. If you're not flexible in your mind, you will not be flexible in life. Now, one of the attributes of people who are change compliant is that they are very objective people. Very objective people. You know, and this is one of the attributes of great leaders, actually, objectivity. What do we mean? Objectivity, the ability to override your emotions based on facts and the greater good. Able to override your emotions based on facts and the greater good. That means, and a good example is Paul in the Bible. Here is a guy that persecuted the gospel with everything he had based on his knowledge at that point in time. When knowledge changed, the same gospel he persecuted with everything he had, he preached with everything he had. So objectivity is the ability to support with all your heart something that even your emotions probably don't like. The ability to make decisions that run contrary to your own desire, but because you know it is the right thing to do. Objectivity is when you give allowance to the fact that you just might be wrong. Oh, did you hear that? Objectivity. When you come to a point where you accept that you just might be wrong. Now, somebody might think, but that's not an issue. A lot of people never want to accept they are wrong. And such people will never, you see, objectivity, you may think, what does objectivity have to do with changes in my life? Objectivity positions you to be able to change. Think with me. Think of the times when you were so sure about something. You were so sure about it, and then you ended up discovering you were wrong. I'm sure we all have those points, those times, or am I speaking to myself? Maybe all of you have always been right all the days of your life. But for me, there are times when I was so sure that I was right. I was convinced I was correct about something. And later on, I discovered I was wrong. Now, objectivity is accepting that. You see, and why is it important? Because we normally resist things Most people resist things from a position of sincerity. That means you resist it because you are sure or you are convinced you are right. You're sincere. If you knew you were wrong, if you categorically knew that you were wrong, the likelihood is you would not have put yourself forward. So you were sincere, but hear me, you were sincerely wrong. Let me bring it down to you. I remember my second son, Ola. I have never, this guy, every day he amazes me. I tell his mom the level of commitment. He's a musician, okay? He's a musician, he's a DJ, and he has crafted his own unique act where, as a DJ, he goes with his stuff and then there's a keyboard. And guess what? A lot of the music he's DJing is his own original music. And then he will do keyboard solos. I've never seen anybody do it before. This guy would lock himself in his room. He's got a studio there. And he will work. He will keep working. He will play that music from sunrise to sunset. There are times he would forget to eat. And, you know, I would think, my friend, what are you doing? Just playing music, just playing music. In my head, look for something to do. But remember, here's a guy that when he was in university, he came to meet me and said, Dad, I want to take a semester break. And I said, what's that? What do you want to do? And he said, I want to lay the foundations for my music business. So he knew where he was going, knew what he wanted to do from the beginning. Now, I was just getting worried that how does somebody spend all his time, does nothing else in music? Listen, today, I will be the first to tell you I was wrong. Because now he gets international gigs, the carnival, what's that thing called? The festival, 10,000 people from all over the world. Now he's connecting himself with serious venues all over. He's now a celebrity in those circles. A celebrity in those circles is getting paid. We were talking today and he was telling me the number of invoices he has sent out. Wow. Now, I will be the first to say my thinking was wrong where he was concerned. Same thing happened with Fumi. I mean, Fumi would spend the whole day making up and taking pictures and putting on Instagram. Now, I am thinking to myself, young lady, surely there are better things to do than just make up and take pictures of yourself. But you see, I was raised in a different era. You need to understand where I'm coming from. I was raised in a different era. And so I began, she was doing that. I didn't understand, but one thing I've done, I have raised my children and handed them into the hands of God, believing they will make the right choices, trained them to make the right choices. So I concluded, after a while, I realized I can't win this war. And I just let her be. Well, you saw what happened when she came to talk to us about Instagram and Clubhouse and the things happening in her life. People sending her stuff from all over the world, sending her makeup, beauty products, including sending her money. You know, again, I had to admit I was wrong. Now, This is the important thing. This is why you need to be objective and never forget. And I'm going to, if you're writing, you need to write this out. I'm going to put it up for you also. And that is this. If you were wrong once, you can be wrong again. Oh, did you hear me? If you were wrong once, you can be wrong again. If you were wrong once, you most definitely can be wrong again. Now, that, as brutal as it sounds, is very liberating. That's very liberating. Very, very liberating. If you can be wrong once, you can be wrong again. So if you are here today and you have been wrong once, that alone should make you objective. That should make you objective. That, wow, I was wrong. Sorry, aircraft flying over. That if I was wrong once, I can be wrong again. Now, that should totally change the way you look at things. Totally change the way you look at things. Knowledge of this should make you objective. That if you were wrong before, you can be wrong again. Another thing that comes with objectivity is humility. Humility. Because I can be wrong again. So you don't approach it with arrogance and whatever. The greatest idea doesn't have to come from you. And this is where we draw the line between confidence and arrogance. Confidence says, I'm good. But you know what? Everybody else is good. I'm good because you guys are good. Arrogance says, I'm good. There's nobody like me. Are you ready to support something that you once criticized because you did not understand? I am the biggest champion today of some of the things that my children introduced me to that I was critical of before. I didn't understand. And these are the things that will show you if you have a change compliant mind. Are you ready to support something you once criticized because you did not understand? Are you ready to apologize when you know you were wrong? Listen, only the humble apologize. Did you get that? Only the humble apologize. Only the humble apologize. That is so critical. Because, listen, one of the greatest catalysts of failed relationships is the inability to manage change and the inability to apologize. Those are the things that mess up relationships. Listen, never forget this. Understanding is the fuel for thriving relationships. Understanding is the fuel for thriving relationships. Understanding. And you know what? You cannot be proud and be understanding. Understanding comes with humility. That I am going to, appreciate the position of the other person. That's a change compliant mind. That I'm open to a position contrary to my position. And you know what? Especially in a relationship, when you sow understanding, you will reap understanding. When you sow understanding, there are things that maybe my wife may do at some point in time that I don't understand. I'm sure there are loads of things I do she doesn't understand, but she sows understanding. And what happens? She reaps an understanding husband. Her husband sows understanding, and he reaps an understanding. And these are attributes of a mind that is change compliant. It's the magic for relationships, really. So without objectivity and humility, there can be no relationship. So let's now bring this home. You know, look at your life. What are major changes that happened in your life, say in the last 2 years? Okay, major changes that happened in your life. I can tell you a major change that happened in my life was that my business model was completely disrupted because 100% of my business was in the boardroom and in training centers with organizations. But 100% of my business was disrupted when nobody was going to work. But you see, nobody prepares for war in the day of war. Oh, are you hearing me today? And that's part of what we've been looking at our 9 o'clock session. Having done all to stand, stand. Stand. You won't stand if you have not done all to stand. How did I prepare myself such that when COVID hit and my business model was disrupted 100%, we just simply said, okay, and we moved on to plan B. I was looking at something earlier on today when I was preparing for this. It is something I had put together in the year 2014, 2014, and it was a write-up on the Street University, 2014. Then I called it the Power Talk Street Campus, 2014. Now listen to this. I'm reading from that thing I wrote in 2014. One of the greatest selling points of the Power Talk Street Campus is its array of facilitators, not just academicians with a lot of theory but no practical experience. Our facilitators have a unique blend of the two, people with a proven track record, and they will teach and mentor through both their successes and their failures, through how to do it and how not to do it. 2014. Is somebody hearing me? So I've been thinking of it, been thinking of it, been thinking of it, you know, been thinking of it. And so when the disruption happened, we simply shifted. But what made my mind ready for change? Things that I've said: objectivity, humility, the ability to apologize, the ability to understand other points of view. Now, you may not realize the gravity and the weight these have on your being change compliant. But you check, these are the things. Go look at anybody who is a master of change. You will find objectivity, you will find humility, you will find understanding, you will find that there are people who are easy to apologize. And when you don't see those things, I can guarantee you, people who lack those qualities will be blown away by change because they are not flexible in their minds, so they are not flexible in their lives. Darwin said, it is not the strongest that survive, it is not the most intelligent, but the most adaptable. All right, is the most adaptable. It is the oak that refuses to bend that will be broken. Don't be that oak. Don't be that oak. Ooh, is somebody hearing me today? Somebody hearing me today? Um, so, what are the changes that happened to you in the last 1 year, 2 years? COVID happened to me. How did I handle it? Hey, we just moved. We just moved. Why? Because I have been objective before now. I have known that I've been wrong before, so I can be wrong again. So that makes my brain pliable and open for change. I I choose to understand people. Cynthia and I were talking about somebody yesterday that no on what day is today? Today's Thursday. On Monday, and this guy was to do some work for us. And you know, last time we gave him some similar work to do a couple of months ago, um, he didn't exactly do it, and he took off. The money didn't come back, and so Cynthia mentioned his name, and I said, "Why don't we give him another chance? Let's give him another chance." Maybe he was under pressure at that point and didn't know how else to go about it. Now, you may look at me right now and say, Wale, you are so stupid. But you know what? Maybe it's because the word of God has consumed me. Galatians, it says, if someone is overtaken by a fault, it says, you who are spiritual, in the spirit of meekness, restore such a person, lest you fall into the same temptation. You know? So I said, hey, we always, let me tell you one thing I've learned. When you have to make a choice between judgment and mercy, always lean to the side of mercy. Always lean to the side of mercy when you have to make that call, you know. And when I sow understanding, I reap understanding. Listen, some of you here, we've connected so well and we understand each other. But some of you we've not met before. But there is this spiritual law at work, the law of sowing and reaping. And so when I sow understanding with people that I work with, I sow understanding with, then I reap understanding. People connect with me, they understand me, they understand my vision. Oh, by the way, so many of you responded and said, you want to invest in Street University, you want to be a part of this. We have some consultants that are putting together and structuring the nature of the investment, because I was expecting maybe 2 or 3 people. I was not expecting the large crowd that said, we want to. Now, why would that happen? People understand my vision. People understand about transforming Africa. They understand it. But believe it or not, it is those little things, objectivity, humility, understanding, the ability to apologize without issue. Those are the things that make you, that position you to handle change when change comes. So I want you to do something else. Take a look at your life, maybe 10 years ago. Just look at your life 10 years ago. Okay? 10 years ago. Now, think with me. Can you identify some things you did 10 years ago that you thought were great things? You thought they were awesome things. But when you think of them today, you laugh at yourself. Now, when you did it, you thought it was amazing. But when you look at it now, you laugh at yourself that, Wale, how could you be so dumb? Am I the only one who has had such experiences? Or is there anybody here who has had such experiences? That you did something years ago, you thought it was great, and now 10 years, 15 years later, you look back, you laugh at yourself. I look and I laugh at myself. I laugh at myself a lot. That Wale, how could you have been so silly? How could you have been so dumb? I laugh at myself. Now, do you know if you do if you do not do this exercise and laugh at what I call my past sincere stupidity, if I don't laugh at my past sincere stupidity, I was sincere, but sincerely stupid. And I've always said stupid is not an abusive word. It's a descriptive term for somebody who is void of intelligence. You know, so if I do not laugh at my past sincere stupidity, I will keep repeating the same thing. So if I have nothing to laugh at about my past, then I begin to consolidate myself in a permanent state of stupid. If you have nothing to laugh about concerning your past, you have not grown. You have not changed. And that makes you an endangered species. I've said this over and over. A person who thinks at 50 the way they were thinking at 30 has wasted 20 years of their life. Total waste. If you're thinking at 50 the way you were thinking at 30, if you're thinking at 40 the way you were thinking at 20, you've wasted 20 years of your life. Because it means you've not learned anything, you've not grown. Because the more you grow, the more you look back and realize, woo, what was I doing? What was I doing? So this is so important in helping you to become a change compliant person. If you will embrace the things we are talking about today, do you know what? You will never become irrelevant. Never. Never. You're objective. You appreciate that you could be wrong. And you know that if you were wrong before, you could be wrong again. You are humble enough to acknowledge when you are wrong. You are humble enough to apologize. When you embrace all this, you will never become irrelevant. Never. Never. All right? So, listen, you can never use an old map to find a new route. You cannot. You cannot use an old map to find a new route. And this is important because what messes people up, the fact that that map was accurate a few years ago The names of streets have changed. Developments have happened in places that were not there before. Everything is changing. So if you are using an old map, it is going to lead you, you're going to be totally confused. All right. So these things I've shared with you today are so simple, you literally need help to miss it. You need help to miss it. But let me issue this warning. If you are not ready to embrace change, you will ultimately be changed. If you are not ready to embrace change, you will ultimately be changed. Remember, yesterday's innovation is today's relic. Yesterday's innovation is today's relic. Everything in the museum today as a relic was once celebrated as an innovation. Everything was in the museum was once celebrated as an innovation. So you need to ask, where do you want to be? Because when you fail to move, you become a relic. When you fail to move with the changes in society which we live, we become the relics and the custodians of the past. Where do you see yourself a few years from now? I've asked you to think back 10 years, but let's think forward. You know, I was having a session with somebody today and we're developing their strategic plan. Let's think forward. Where do you see yourself in a few years? Now, listen, are you educating yourself to be a perfect match for your destination? Are you educating yourself to be a perfect match for the destination you see yourself in a few years from now? Or are you living in the deception of who you used to be, thinking that that is who you still are? Let me give you very friendly advice. Never mistake who you were for who you are. Never mistake who you were for who you are. Never. Because we are constantly changing. And you see, people who specialize in only talking about who they used to be, what they used to be, that is the proof they are not doing much today. That's the proof you are not doing much today. If all you have to talk about is where you used to be, what you used to do, how you used to be great in this, how you used to be. Now check yourself. If you find yourself always talking about who you used to be, that means you need to do more things today. I've said it before. My 28-year-old self was super successful, but my 54-year-old self will not look back at my 28-year-old self with envy. Absolutely not. My 28-year-old self is looking at my 54-year-old self and saying, wow, the things we said as prophecies are the things he's walking in right now. So I'm not going to look at my past and get my bearing and get approval and get, try to impress people with my past. Because what I'm doing in my present makes my past look like child's play. But make no mistake about it, transiting from who you were to who you can be is a deliberate and conscious effort. Deliberate and conscious effort. So, like I said, where do you see yourself? Are you educating yourself to be a perfect match for your destination? You know, the downside of branding, of personal branding, is that many focus on the outside without paying attention to the substance. And this is one of the things I teach in personal branding, that the substance must surpass the hype. If the hype around you surpasses the substance, you will not last. You'll be like that fig tree. The hype looked like it had fruit, but you get close to it, there was nothing. You need to deliberately work on yourself to ensure that your substance surpasses the hype. That when people may have read about you, people may have heard about you, and they've heard great things. But when they encounter you, it is such a moment that it makes everything they have heard look like child's play. That is where you want to be. Working hard to ensure that the substance of your life exponentially exceeds the perceptions about you. The Queen of Sheba said concerning Solomon, "Oh, I've heard about you. But what I heard was nothing compared with what I have seen." That is my prayer for you. That is what I pray for myself. That I don't want people to read about me in the paper or see something about me, and then when they interact with me, it's an anticlimax that, oh, okay, no. I want people to hear about me, and when they interact with me, they say, wow, we heard, but we did not know it was this deep, it was this serious. Now that takes effort to ensure that the substance is greater than the hype. That's where we want to be. I hope somebody got it today. All right. It's very, very quiet in this Presbyterian church today. Is anybody in the house? Or have you all gone home? Anybody in the house, or have you gone home? It's pretty quiet. Mm. So, who would have imagined? Who would have imagined that being objective, acknowledging you are wrong, apologizing, being open, who would have believed that simple things like that are the things that make you a change compliant person? Who would have believed? That's what makes you a change compliant person. It is very simple, but very serious. And I'm tempted to continue with this. So on Tuesday, I will continue with stumbling blocks to being change compliant. On Tuesday, I will talk of stumbling blocks to become change compliant. I'm just going to continue on this dimension. All right. Now we have some changes coming. Okay, we have some changes coming. And that number one change is that from June, we will no more offer discounted rates for Reimagine Yourself. There will no more be discounted rates from June. And not only that, and I'll tell you the simple logic is that my hands are so full. And, when you're running back to back to back to back to back, and, so what we looked at is that we need to be wise in the execution of this. And so we are going to jack up the investment from $1,200 to $2,000 per person. We are removing all the discounted rates. So anybody that wants to come in for the special Street University rate of $300, you better come in now. Why again? Because we have a client that wants to put 150 senior managers. We're having a conversation with another one that wants to put in 200 senior managers. So think with me. If an organization is sending you 200 people who will pay $2,000 per person for the program, and it's going to be exactly the same thing I have done for $300. Come on. I mean, you love Wale, he's your brother. How will you advise him? I'm sure you will advise him, Wale, go for that one. So that's one of the changes coming. So anybody that wants to come in, plug in right now for the Reimagine Yourself program for one-on-one sessions with me. Okay. And that's going to be, you need to plug in before the end of this month. You can send an email to wale@thestreetuniversity.com. wale@thestreetuniversity.com. Let me know if you would like to be in, and then Cynthia can reach out to you, and Cynthia can schedule you so that we get you in before the new era in June. Okay? And next week, I will announce some more changes coming to the way we operate starting in June. All right? So I believe this has been a blessing to you. And yes, Carly. Amen. You will not be stuck on stupid. All right. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. It's a new day. Please don't just be hearers, but be doers. Laugh about your past. It's a sign you have moved forward. Be objective. Be objective. Be humble. Acknowledge the fact that you can be wrong. Acknowledge the fact that you can be wrong. Be ready to apologize. These are the things that make you a change compliant person. And when things happen, you are ready. Hey, Liz, thank you for the endorsement. Liz said, I highly recommend Reimagine. It's a life transforming program. Thank you very much, Liz. One day we'll have you come and talk about your Reimagine Yourself experience. All right. Thank you, Nedi. Thank you so much. Guys, God bless you. So at 9 p.m., and think of it. I've been here since I actually spent the night in my study, and then I've been having sessions, one thing or the other, since very early in the morning. I think, Vicky, we had a 7 a.m. session today. I had, so wisdom now dictates that we need to plan this properly. And that's why we're doing some of the things, the changes we're bringing in, going forward. So I want to encourage you. And if you know people, particularly those of you who have been a part of this program, if you know anyone that you feel needs to be in the Reimagine Yourself, please reach out to them that they should log in quickly before the end of this month when we change the whole system. All right. So I will be back for those of you who will be with me at 9 o'clock on the Wale Akemi resource page. I will be back. Thank you very much. God bless you and keep winning. Thank you.